Have you ever noticed how the people who hurt you the most are often the ones you care about the most? Have you ever felt that crushing weight in your chest when someone you valued treated you as if you were invisible, disposable, replaceable? Perhaps you've given everything to relationships, friendships, careers, only to realize that your investment meant nothing to those on the receiving end. And maybe, just maybe, you've blamed yourself for feeling too much, for caring too deeply, for being too available. But what if I told you that your pain doesn't come from caring too much? It comes from attaching your worth to people and things that were never meant to define you. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who ruled Rome while contemplating the deepest truths of human existence, understood something that most people spend their entire lives running from. He knew that suffering is not caused by what happens to us, but by our relationship to what happens to us. That the chains we complain about are chains we forged ourselves. That emotional attachment is not love. It is fear disguised as devotion. This video is not about becoming cold or heartless. It's about something far more powerful. It's about mastering the art of detachment, the ability to care without clinging, to love without losing yourself, to engage with life without being destroyed by it. This is for you who constantly feels abandoned, disappointed, betrayed. For you who gives your best and receives indifference in return. For you who is tired of being the one who always cares more, loves harder, tries longer. Today, I will show you that detachment is not cruelty. It is liberation, and that true strength lies not in holding on tighter, but in learning when to let go. Get ready to see your relationships, your pain, and your power in a completely different light. Let's dive into the Stoic wisdom that has survived 2,000 years because it speaks to something eternal in the human condition. The truth that freedom begins the moment you stop needing anything from anyone. Why do we cling so desperately to people who hurt us? Why do we chase those who run away? Why do we beg for scraps of attention from those who have shown us repeatedly that we don't matter to them? Because we've been taught that attachment equals love, that if you don't suffer for someone, you don't truly care, that jealousy is proof of passion, but anxiety is proof of investment, that pain is proof of death. But the Stoics saw through this beautiful lie. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. That most of our pain comes not from what people do to us, but from the stories we tell ourselves about what it means. When someone rejects you, the rejection itself is neutral. It's a fact, an event, a moment in time. But your mind transforms it into a narrative, the narrative that says you're not enough, that you're unlovable, that something is fundamentally broken in you. And this is where attachment becomes a prison. Because you've tied your sense of self to someone else's opinion, someone else's presence, someone else's validation. You've given them the keys to your emotional state. You've made them the judge of your worth. And now you're trapped, waiting for their approval, their attention, their love to feel whole again. The Stoics called this slavery, not the physical kind, but something worse, the slavery of the mind. The condition of being controlled by external circumstances, by other people's choices, by things you cannot influence or control. And Marcus Aurelius, who had absolute power over millions, understood that true power has nothing to do with controlling others. It has everything to do with controlling yourself, your reactions, your attachments, your inner world. He said that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Not on whether people stay or leave, not on whether you're loved or rejected, not on whether your efforts are appreciated or ignored, but on your ability to remain centered, grounded, sovereign within yourself regardless of what happens outside. This is not about becoming indifferent, it's about becoming unshakable. And there's a profound difference between the two. Indifference is numbness, disconnection, the death of feeling. Detachment is clarity, freedom, the ability to feel without being destroyed by what you feel, to love without making that love a weapon against yourself. But here's what nobody tells you about detachment. It's not a philosophy you read about and suddenly master. It's a daily practice, a constant choice, a war you fight within yourself every single day. Because everything in you will resist it. Your ego will scream that letting go means losing. Your heart will insist that caring less means loving less. Your mind will create elaborate justifications for why this one person, this one situation is different, is worth the suffering. And this is exactly why most people never achieve it. They want the freedom that detachment brings, but they're not willing to pay the price. And the price is this, the death of who you were. The person who needed external validation to feel worthy. The person who couldn't exist without someone else's approval. The person who measured their value by how much others wanted them. That person has to die, and that death is painful, but it's the only path to rebirth. In the next part, we will explore what the Stoics discovered about the nature of control and how understanding this one principle can completely transform how you experience relationships, loss, and your own emotional world. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it, and your life will never be the same. If this resonates with you, click the subscribe button. Your support means everything. Thank you. The Stoics had a concept that sounds simple, but is devastatingly powerful when truly understood. They divided everything in life into two categories: things you can control and things you cannot. And they discovered that almost all human suffering comes from one fundamental error: trying to control what cannot be controlled, while neglecting what can. Think about it. You cannot control whether someone loves you. You cannot control whether they stay or leave. You cannot control their thoughts, their feelings, their choices, their loyalty. You cannot control whether your efforts will be appreciated, whether your kindness will be reciprocated, whether your devotion will be valued. All of these things lie outside your circle of control. But here's what you can control: your own thoughts, your own actions, your own standards, your own boundaries. How much access you give people to your inner world, how you interpret what happens to you. Whether you stay in situations that diminish you or walk away from them. Whether you continue investing in people who have shown you they're not worth the investment. Marcus Aurelius understood that when you try to control another person's behavior, you've already lost. You've made yourself dependent on variables you cannot influence. You've turned your peace into something conditional, something fragile, something that can be shattered by anyone at any moment. This is not power. This is the opposite of power. Real power, Stoic power, is in the withdrawal of your attention from what you cannot control and the total focus on what you can. It's in the realization that you don't need anyone to change for you to be okay. You don't need anyone to see your value for you to have value. You don't need anyone to choose you for you to be complete. This is where detachment becomes a superpower. Because the moment you stop needing something from someone, you take back all the power you gave them. The moment you accept that you cannot control their actions, but you can control your reactions, you become free. Free to stay if you want, but not because you need to. Free to leave when something no longer serves you, without guilt, without explanation, without waiting for permission. But society has conditioned you to believe the opposite. You've been taught that caring means being available 24/7, that love means sacrificing your peace for someone else's comfort, that loyalty means tolerating disrespect, neglect, betrayal, because walking away would make you the bad person. You've been taught that boundaries are selfish, that standards are unrealistic, that expecting reciprocity is asking too much. And so you stay, you tolerate, you excuse, you give chance after chance after chance to people who have shown you exactly who they are. And you call this love. But it's not love, it's fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being seen as cold. Fear of admitting that you wasted time, energy, emotion on someone who is never going to meet you where you stood. The Stoics would call this a failure of judgment. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, taught that we are disturbed not by events, but by our opinions about events. When you feel devastated by someone's rejection, it's not the rejection that destroys you. It's your belief that their rejection means something catastrophic about you. It's your interpretation that their departure equals your worthlessness. But what if you change the interpretation? What if someone walking away simply means they weren't aligned with your path? What if their inability to see your value is a reflection of their limitations, not yours? What if their absence is actually protection, a clearing of something better, something real, something worthy of what you bring? This shift in perspective is not denial. It's not pretending you don't feel pain. It's refusing to let that pain define you. It's seeing clearly that people come and go, situations change, nothing external is permanent, and that the only constant, the only thing you can truly rely on is yourself. Your ability to adapt, to survive, to grow stronger from everything that was meant to break you. Detachment means you engage with life fully, but you don't cling to outcomes. You love people deeply, but you don't make them your oxygen. You invest in relationships, but you don't lose yourself in them. You remain the center of your own universe, and everything else orbits around that center. Not because you're selfish, but because you understand that you cannot pour from an empty cup. That you cannot love others authentically if you've abandoned yourself to do it. This brings us to something crucial, because up to this point we've talked about control and perspective, but there's a darker layer to attachment that needs to be exposed. The way it manipulates you, the way it keeps you trapped in cycles of pain, the way it makes you complicit in your own suffering. And once you see this mechanism clearly, you'll understand why detachment is not optional. It's essential for your survival. In the next part, we'll dissect the psychology of emotional dependency and show you exactly how attachment hijacks your brain, your heart, your sense of reality. Because you can't break free from a prison you don't know you're in. And most people are prisoners who think they're free. Let's change that. There's a reason why you keep going back to people who hurt you, why you keep checking their social media, why you keep replaying conversations in your mind, analyzing every word, searching for hidden meanings. Why you keep hoping that this time will be different, that they'll finally see you, value you, choose you. It's not because you're weak, it's because attachment creates a biochemical addiction in your brain. When you're emotionally attached to someone, your brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, the same chemicals released during drug use. And when that person withdraws their attention, affection, presence, your brain experiences withdrawal, literal withdrawal, the same way an addict experiences it when the drug is taken away. This is why detachment is so difficult. You're not just fighting your feelings, you're fighting your own neurochemistry. Your brain has associated this person with survival, with pleasure, with meaning. And now it's screaming at you that losing them equals death, even though logically you know that's not true. But logic has very little power over the limbic system, the primitive part of your brain that governs emotions, attachment, fear. The Stoics didn't know about neuroscience, but they understood this phenomenon intuitively. They recognized that strong emotions cloud judgment, that desire creates suffering, that attachment makes you vulnerable to manipulation. And they developed practices specifically designed to counter this biological programming. Marcus Aurelius practiced negative visualization. Every morning, he would imagine losing everything he valued. His position, his health, his loved ones. Not to be pessimistic, but to prepare his mind. To remind himself that everything is temporary, that nothing is guaranteed, that attachment to impermanent things is the root of suffering. This practice created psychological resilience. It meant that when loss actually occurred, he was not destroyed by it because he had already accepted its possibility. But there's something even more insidious about emotional attachment. It doesn't just make you dependent on specific people. It makes you dependent on the feeling of being needed, wanted, desired. And this is where people lose themselves completely. Because they start shaping their entire identity around being whatever others need them to be. They become chameleons, shapeshifters, people pleasers who have forgotten who they were before they started performing for love. This is the trap. You think you're being loved, but you're being loved for a character you're playing, not for who you actually are. And deep down, you know this. You know that if you stopped performing, stopped accommodating, stopped shrinking yourself, the love will disappear. And this knowledge creates a deep, existential anxiety. You're living in constant fear of being discovered, of being rejected for who you really are. The Stoics called this living according to external opinions rather than internal virtue. And they saw it as the ultimate betrayal of self, because you have traded authenticity for acceptance. You have sold your soul for the temporary comfort of someone else's approval. And the price you pay is enormous. You pay with your peace, your self-respect, your sense of reality, your mental health. Detachment shatters this prison. It says, I will not contort myself to fit into your life. I will not abandon my truth to make you comfortable. I will not betray myself to keep you around. Because even if you stay, if I've lost myself in the process, what have I really won? This is the moment of awakening, the moment you realize that the relationship you need to fix is not the one with them, it's the one with yourself. That the love you're desperately seeking outside is the love you've refused to give yourself. That you've been treating yourself with less respect, less kindness, less loyalty than you'd accept from anyone else. And this realization is both devastating and liberating. Devastating because you see how much time you've wasted, how much of yourself you've given away, how much you've tolerated that should never have been tolerated. But liberating because now you know, now you see, now you can choose differently. But knowing is not enough. Understanding the psychology of attachment doesn't automatically free you from it. There's still the hardest part, the actual practice of detachment. The daily decisions, the uncomfortable boundaries, the moments when every cell in your body wants to reach out, to go back, to give one more chance. And this is where most people fail. Not because they don't understand, but because they don't have the tools, the strategies, the step-by-step process to actually implement what they know. In the next part, we'll give you exactly that, the practical techniques the Stoics used to master detachment. Not theory, but practice. Not philosophy, but action. Because wisdom without application is just sophisticated ignorance. And you deserve more than that. Let's start with the most important practice, the one that everything else builds on, the practice of self-observation. The Stoics believed that most people live their entire lives on autopilot, reacting unconsciously to every stimulus, every emotion, every impulse. They are not living, they are being lived by their conditioning, their past, their wounds. The first step to detachment is to wake up, to become aware of your patterns, to observe yourself as if you were watching a character in a movie. When you feel that urge to text them, to check on them, to seek their validation, pause, don't act. Just observe. What is this feeling? Where does it come from? What am I afraid will happen if I don't do this? This pause, this space between stimulus and response, is where your power lives. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, said that between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. When you practice this observation, something miraculous happens. You start to see that your emotions are not you. They are events happening within you. They are weather patterns moving through your internal landscape. And just like you don't identify with a passing storm, you don't have to identify with a passing emotion. You can feel sadness without being sad. You can feel anger without being angry. You can feel the pull of attachment without acting on it. The second practice is radical acceptance. This is not about liking what happened. It's not about agreeing with it or condoning it. It's about accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it were. When someone shows you they don't care, accept it. Don't fight it. Don't try to convince them. Don't try to prove your worth. Just accept that this is who they are, this is what they're capable of, and this is not your problem to fix. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." But notice what he didn't say. He didn't say cling to them. He didn't say make them your entire world. He said, love them fully while they're here, and accept when fate moves you in different directions. The third practice is purposeful disconnection. This is the hardest one. This is where you actually create distance, set boundaries, remove access. Not out of revenge, not out of manipulation, but out of self-preservation. You delete the number. You unfollow on social media. You stop going to places where you might run into them. You create physical and digital barriers that make it harder for you to slip back into old patterns. People will judge you for this. They'll call you cold, bitter, unforgiving. Let them. They don't live in your skin. They don't carry your pain. They don't know what it cost you to finally choose yourself. The Stoics understood that living virtuously often means being misunderstood by those who live according to the crowd's morality. The fourth practice is building your own fortress. Detachment doesn't mean isolation. It means being so full within yourself that you don't need anyone to complete you. This requires deliberate action. You invest in yourself. Your health, your skills, your passions, your growth. You build a life that excites you, that challenges you, that gives you purpose beyond other people's perception of you. You become someone who is interesting to yourself, someone you respect, someone you enjoy spending time with. Because the truth is, if you don't enjoy your own company, you'll always be desperately seeking someone else to distract you from yourself. And that's not connection, that's codependency. The fifth practice is embracing impermanence. Everything ends. Every relationship, every phase, every version of yourself. The Stoics meditated on death regularly, not to be morbid, but to appreciate life. To remember that nothing lasts forever, so clinging is futile. The only thing you can do is be fully present while something exists, and fully accepting when it's time to let go. This doesn't make life meaningless. It makes it precious. It means you stop wasting time on people who don't deserve it. You stop tolerating situations that drain you. You stop waiting for perfect moments that never come. You act, you choose, you move forward. But even with all these practices, there will be moments of weakness. Moments when you want to break your own rules, to reach out just one more time, to see if things have changed. And this is where the final and most important principle comes in. The principle that determines whether you'll truly master detachment or just understand it intellectually. In the final part, we'll reveal what the Stoics understood about willpower, discipline, and the daily battle between who you are and who you're becoming. Because detachment is not a destination. It's a practice you choose every single day, sometimes every single hour. And the question is, are you ready for that level of commitment to yourself? We've arrived at the final truth, and this is where most people realize they never wanted detachment. They wanted a trick, a shortcut, a magic phrase that would make the pain go away without requiring any real change. But there are no shortcuts. There is only the choice you make right now, and the one you'll have to make again tomorrow. and the day after that, and every day for the rest of your life. The Stoics understood that philosophy without action is worthless. That knowing the right thing and doing the right thing are two entirely different battles. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, and he still struggled. His meditations are full of reminders he wrote to himself. Stop talking about what the good man is like, and just be one. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This is the essence of detachment. Stop talking about letting go. Let go. Stop planning to set boundaries. Set them. Stop thinking about choosing yourself. Choose yourself. Now, today, in this moment. Because here's what nobody tells you. The pain of detachment is temporary. The pain of staying attached to what destroys you is permanent. It grows. It metastasizes. It turns you into someone you don't recognize. Someone bitter, anxious, desperate, small. Someone who has given away so much of themselves that there's nothing left. But when you choose detachment, when you truly commit to it, something extraordinary happens. At first, there's grief. Real, heavy, suffocating grief. Because you're not just letting go of a person, you're letting go of a fantasy, a future you imagined, a version of yourself that believed love meant suffering. And after the grief comes emptiness. A strange, uncomfortable void where all that emotional chaos used to be. You don't know what to do with yourself. You don't know who you are, without the drama, without the longing, without the pain that felt like proof you were alive. But if you sit with that emptiness, if you don't rush to fill it with another person, another distraction, another addiction, something begins to emerge, slowly, quietly. A sense of self that was always there but was buried under layers of need, fear, and accommodation. You start to remember what you liked before you met them, what excited you, what made you laugh, what made you feel powerful. You start to rebuild a relationship with yourself, and this relationship, unlike all the others, cannot be taken from you, cannot betray you, cannot abandon you. This is what the Stoics meant by inner citadel, a fortress within your mind that no external circumstance can breach, a place where you are always safe, always sovereign, always free. Not because nothing bad happens, but because nothing that happens has the power to destroy who you've become. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, betrayals, plagues, the deaths of loved ones. He had every reason to be bitter, to be broken. But he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is not just philosophy. This is survival, instruction. This is the blueprint for a life where you are not a victim of circumstances, but a conscious creator of your own experience. Now I want you to do something. Look at your life right now. Who are you holding onto that you know you need to release? What situation are you tolerating that's slowly killing your spirit? What version of yourself are you betraying by staying where you've outgrown? You know the answer. You've always known. You've just been afraid to act on it. Afraid of the unknown. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of making a mistake. But let me tell you something the Stoics knew deeply. The biggest mistake is not the wrong choice. It's the refusal to choose. It's staying in limbo, trapped between what was and what could be, never fully committing to your own liberation. So make the choice. Today, right now, not tomorrow, not after one more conversation, not after they change or apologize or finally see you. Now, choose detachment, choose yourself, choose freedom, and here's what will happen. Some people will disappear from your life. Let them. They were never meant to stay. Some people will be offended by your boundaries. Let them be. Their comfort is not your responsibility. Some people will call you selfish. Let them. They profit from your selflessness. But some people, the right people, will respect you more, will value you more, will meet you at the level you've set. Because when you respect yourself, you teach others how to treat you. When you know your worth, you stop accepting less than you deserve. When you master detachment, you attract differently, not from desperation, but from abundance, not from need, but from choice. This is the life that's waiting for you on the other side of attachment. A life where relationships enhance you rather than complete you, where love is a choice, not a compulsion, where you are whole within yourself and everything else is a beautiful addition, not a necessary salvation. The Stoics lived 2,000 years ago, but their wisdom is eternal because human nature is eternal. We still suffer, we still cling, we still lose ourselves in other people, but we also still have the power to wake up, to choose differently, to reclaim our lives from the tyranny of attachment. So, I'm asking you now, are you ready? Are you ready to let go of what's destroying you? Are you ready to stop waiting for someone else to make you whole? Are you ready to become the person you were always meant to be, before fear convinced you to be smaller? If your answer is yes, then comment below, I choose myself. Not for me, for you, so you can see it, so you can commit to it publicly, so you can look back at this moment and remember that this was when everything changed. And don't stop here. The next video will take you even deeper. It will show you what happens after detachment, how to rebuild yourself, how to create a life so fulfilling that you'll wonder why you ever clung to people who didn't deserve you. Watch it. Not because I'm telling you to, but because you owe it to yourself to go all the way. Remember this: the weak cling, the strong release. The wise know that letting go is not losing, it's winning. It's freedom. It's the beginning of everything real.